I'm Bet from BettesMakes, and today is the second day of Heat Week, and we're going to make a Halloween tote bag using some iron-on materials. Now, sometimes you don't always have the color that you want. Orange has been really scarce to find, so I'm going to make a substitute. So as you can see on the screen here, here's the little tote we're going to be making. And it's a Happy Halloween tote, and it's so easy to do. So let's start by just taking off my text here that I don't need. This is the item that I pulled up from the upload. So I'm just going to click on upload, and you will see a file here called October Mates Halloween Tote. You will find that in our resource library inside our membership site. It is free to get. So I don't need to do that. So let's go back to the canvas. And then I also came over here to templates, and I scrolled down quite a bit and found a tote that we could use. And there it is. It's the totes. And the templates are for reference only. Yes, we know that. So that just gives us an idea of the size. So if I brought this in and it was huge like this, I might not be able to fit it onto the tote bag and iron it on. So let's just make it smaller so that it's going to fit right inside here. Now I have it selected. So let's take a look at our width is 5.07 and our height is 6.04. So if you watch those numbers, if I make them a little bit bigger, they're going to fit right on our tote bag. Probably don't want them much bigger than that, but we do need to break this up in order to make the Happy Halloween and the cat be different items. So we're going to come over here to the layers panel. I'm going to click on ungroup, and I'm just going to click on our cat here. It's a basic cut, looks good. But now I have to select all the letters. So let me just move the cat out of the way. And what we're going to do is select all of these letters together, and we are going to weld them so that they stay as one piece. Now they're going to cut out as this. It's going to cause a little weeding, fun, but we are up to that. And then of course the cat is going to go into the center, and he's going to fit in there quite nicely. So we are all ready to go ahead and do our basic cut. Now, one thing I might note, that word Happy Halloween and the cat, if we want to keep it all in the same way, we're going to have to do a mirror, but we'll wait for that until we get into where we're using our machine. So let's save this. I have some October Mates, and this is going to be Halloween Tote. And let's just save it, make sure we have it. And my machine is turned on behind me, so I'm going to click on Make It. And we're going to do this on mat to make it easier. And there is the cat that's going to be cut out all by itself. And it goes about 7 inches by 5 inches. And if I take my Halloween here, Happy Halloween, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it out of another material. But as you can see, I welded it together so that we know that we have the correct space. And I'm going to show you a few little tricks for that. Now it's in black as well. I'm going to use 2 different kinds of materials here. So the first one, I'm going to use one type of vinyl, and then the next one is just an everyday iron-on. I'm going to use a pattern iron-on for the Happy Halloween. So let's take a look at all of this. Now remember, I said I want to mirror everything because of the text, so we want to mirror. And sometimes it's hard to remember mirroring, especially if you have text and then you go to iron it on and it's all backwards. So let's start at the top here. Let's click on continue. And just as we continue, we're going to select our stock. Okay, under favorites, I don't have an iron on here, but under popular, I would imagine smart iron on, everyday iron on is right here. And all we need to do is load the blade. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch cameras. Just go over to our other camera. I'm just going to move this out of the way. And just before I cut this, I want to get my iron ready to go. Well, I looked up in the heat guide exactly what I needed for everyday iron on. So I needed 315 degrees Fahrenheit and 30 seconds for this particular project. So what I want to do now is just to go ahead and start cutting what we're looking at here. So first we're going to cut the cat. And for the cat, I needed a piece that was 5.5 inches by 7 inches. So I'm using this black every day. So I'll just have a small piece left. So I'm just going to use the whole thing on my mat for now. So let's see how long this is. This is 2, 4, 6. I would have about 3 inches left here. So let me cut off 3 inches. I'm just going to use my scissors. You can see here, just need about 3 inches, 2, 4, 6. Just going to take a guesstimate and just cut off a piece. And that's just so I can use it later if I need a scrap or something small. I would use a cutter for it to be a little more accurate, but right now I'm just going to use my scissors, and I will put that to the side so I can see it. So what I want to do now is grab my mat, take off the protective cover. And remember, it's the shiny side down. Let me just shove this back a little bit so I can show you what I'm doing. It's shiny side down. Now I said we can just put it towards the top here. Now I don't need all of this for the cat. I need about 7 inches to here. So I can actually cut this piece off here and save it for another day. Okay, got it started. Save what I can for another day. I don't need that little piece on there. Okay, I'm going to use a brayer tool now in order to make sure it is stuck down appropriately. That looks really good. Just put those off to the side. Just bring my machine up a little bit. Now cut our cat. Just load the mat. And we'll just unload our mat. I'll move that off to the side for a second. All right, our next piece, I'm going to use this lovely iron-on that I found. And I'm just taking a look at what we can do for this particular item. It is going to be 6.5 inches wide and 7.5 down. So width-wise, we need 6 and that 2, 4, 6, and just a little bit. So I'm going to call it 7. So we know that I can start to cut this around here. The other piece I'm going to use is going to be this pattern piece. So I cut out a portion from it, and this is everyday iron-on, and I'm going to use those for the words Happy Halloween, and we're going to see how this is going to turn out. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Once again, you want to make sure that you have the shiny side down, and we did mirror everything. And I'm going to use my brayer tool to make sure that it stays in place. I'm just very confident it will, but I like to make sure anyway. So I'm just going to load the mat, and it's set for everyday iron-on. And once this is cut, we're going to go ahead and we'll weed it, and then we'll start the iron-on process. Okay, let's just eject this, and I've turned on my heat press, and it's just pretty well ready to go. I'm just going to move my Cricut Design Space out of the way and turn off my machine. So now we're going to start putting everything together. Let me just move that out of the way. I'm just going to pull this off the mat. And put my mat away, find the protective cover. always want to make sure you have your protective cover on your mat so they don't gather any extra little bits and pieces, dust. Get that out of the way. Okay, so we are going to be using this tote bag in order to put our design. So we're going to have the Happy Halloween coming across like this, and then the cat in the center. So let me just move our tote bag out of the way for just a second. So I had this cut as an image that left a big gap in the middle, and there is a reason for that. So I am going to grab one of my weeding tools here, and this is just a Cricut weeding tool. I'm going to have to grab all of the pieces and parts all around the letters. Now this is probably going to take a little bit of time. I am going to start at the bottom, and I'm just going to grab a piece along the edge, and you can see where it's grabbing some of the letters. Not to worry. I might be wondering why I left such a giant gap in the center and, you know, my wasting material. Well, I am wasting a bit of it, but you'll see in the long run where this is going to make perfect sense. Now, the cat part is very, very sticky, whereas this is not. And I could put this right down the center here and just cut off the extra pieces so it's going to come out as one small piece. So I'm just going to take my scissors and get it as close to the cat as possible. Just trim off the extra area. Just actually come down here on the cat as well. Remove any excess pieces that I don't want to have. Very lovely. I'm not too happy with my happy. Okay, so P is looking a little sad, but we're just going to leave it as is. Now the cat is going to fit here because you want the sticky, and I still have the eyes to bring out here. Move this gently out of the way. Get my eyes out of the way. There we go. And there is the rest of the eyes. Perfect. Right, so we want this to fit into this piece right away. And our Halloween looks good, our happy looks good. We want to try and get it so that it is pretty well centered. And I'm going to center it a little more when I put it on the tote bag. So let's just get rid of our debris here. And I'm going to bring our tote bag down. And this is where we want to iron on the piece of the tote. Now, generally, we are going to be able to flip it over, but this time I don't want to do that. But what I want to do is get my heat pad on the inside here. So I have an area to work with. Get it in as much as possible. I want to center it in there. Up and down. That looks really good. So you can see it through here. I want to get a little straighter. There we go. Extra piece hanging out here. All right, so what we want to do now is place our cat into position. So we want our cat now is going to be down and got it about centered. This is going to be the easy part because the cat is going to go down with the sticky piece. And what we have to do now is place our words that we had over the top like this. There's our happy Halloween. And now I can just move it into position where I want it. The only issue I really had was with this P, because the little extra piece tend to break off. So I'm just going to move it down, and I'm going to have to use my little weeding tool just to move it into position. Maybe I'll use some heat transfer tape to hold that into place. That would probably make more sense. So let me just grab some heat transfer tape. This is just a clear tape from Cricut, and it is heat sensitive, so I can absolutely take a piece of it here, and it's not going to affect too much. So I'll just see if I can just use a little small piece of it here and make sure my little P is going to stay in position. So let me just flip this back over. Let's take our little P here. This doesn't want to cooperate with me. Okay, it's the only thing I'm going to hold down into position is just a little edge of it, because I want it to iron onto the t-shirt, but I don't want it to move. So just a tiny little edge, just so it doesn't move. There we go. Not touching anything else. No, okay. So let's move this into position. So we're looking happy with the Happy Halloween. That looks pretty centered. So what I want to do now is just move this stuff out of the way, just turn this over. And this is exactly how our Happy Halloween tote bag is going to look. It looks pretty centered both ways. And I'm just going to turn on my heat again. It turned off because it was so long in doing this. Now, I don't want anything to bleed through onto my mat, and I don't want anything to bleed through on the iron. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a piece of cardstock, slide it underneath so it doesn't hurt my mat. And then I'm going to put another one on top. And that's just to hold this into place to make sure that nothing bleeds through on the back of my iron. So now I'm just going to put this into place. Look pretty good here. Yeah, it's pretty good. And I'm just going to click here and let it to go ahead and count down. Now, last time I did this, I had to put it through a couple of times just to make sure that it stayed in place. Okay, just a second or two. Okay, gave me the little beep. Just move that out of place. Let's move our little mat out of place. Now it looks like it has, so I just have to let it cool down just a little bit before I pull anything off. P apart. The little piece up here is not cooperating. Oh, there it is. A little heat piece here. There we go. Pull the top part off. I'm going to get rid of this little extra piece here. There we go. And the last piece I have to pull off is from the cat. Let's see if the cat is adhered. There we go. And there we have our Halloween tote bag. I hope you had a lot of fun putting this one together. There were a few issues with the letters, and I see that some of them could have had a little more protective heat on them. I will iron those down a little more just to make sure that they're in place. Remember, you don't want to throw this through the washing machine. You want to be able to hand wash these because they're not infusible. But we have a really cute little tote bag. So I hope you had a lot of fun with that. Until next time, happy crafting.